In the world of organized crime, few names strike as much fear or fascination as Jimmy Burke. Known as Jimmy the Gent, he was smart, ruthless, and always 2 steps ahead. But in 1978, he pulled off a score so massive it became the biggest cash robbery in American history. This is the true story of the Lufthansa Heist. Jimmy Burke wasn't even Italian, but that didn't stop him from becoming one of the most feared associates of the Lucchese crime family. Irish-American and born in 1931, Burke grew up in foster homes, learned early how to hustle, and built a reputation for handling problems permanently. He earned the nickname Jimmy the Gent for his outward charm and habit of tipping everyone generously. But don't let that fool you. He was also known for having people disappear if they talked too much. One thing was certain, you didn't cross Jimmy Burke. By the late 70s, Burke had built an empire through loan-sharking drug trafficking and hijackings, but his eyes were always on bigger prizes. That's when he got word from an insider at JFK Airport, Louis Werner, a Lufthansa cargo worker, about millions of untraceable cash flown in regularly from Germany. The money was meant for American servicemen overseas. No serial numbers, no oversight, just stacked, shrink-wrapped bills sitting in a vault. Burke knew this was the score of a lifetime. He gathered a crew of seasoned criminals including Tommy DeSimone, the real-life inspiration for Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas, and began to plan. On the morning of December 11, 1978, at 3:12 a.m., the plan went into motion. A black van pulled up to Lufthansa's cargo terminal. Inside were masked gunmen armed with pistols, walkie-talkies, and nerves of steel. The robbers quickly overpowered the guards. No shots fired, no alarms triggered. They moved with military precision. In less than an hour they were gone, along with $5.875 million in cash and jewelry. Adjusted for inflation, that's over $25 million today. The heist was so clean, so fast, authorities had no idea who to suspect. But inside the mob world, everyone knew Jimmy Burke had just made history. But pulling off the perfect heist is one thing. Getting away with it, that's another story. Burke had a problem, too many people involved, and loose lips sink mob ships. One by one, members of the crew started spending their cut, or talking. Burke panicked. What happened next was a bloodbath. Bodies started turning up in car trunks, landfills, and basements. Anyone Burke suspected of snitching, or even being careless, was eliminated. Some say he killed at least 10 people tied to the heist. But the paranoia didn't save him. The FBI was closing in, and eventually one man would bring Jimmy down. Not for the Lufthansa heist, but for drugs and murder. Henry Hill, his protege and lifelong friend. Jimmy Burke was never charged for the Lufthansa heist. Authorities always suspected but could never prove it. Instead, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. He died behind bars in 1996. But his legend lives on. The Lufthansa heist became the centerpiece of Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. Jimmy Conway, played by Robert De Niro, was based directly on Burke. And to this day, the case remains unsolved, the cash never recovered. Jimmy Burke didn't just pull off a heist. He pulled off a moment in history. A perfect storm of brains, violence, and greed. And in doing so, he proved the mob's golden rule. There's no such thing as a clean getaway. If you liked this deep dive into mafia history, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories from the underworld, and drop a comment below. What would you have done with $6 million in cash?